afternoon, everyone, and thank you again, SACA team, Julie, for the kind invitation to present Sygnum to you in Korea today. It gives me a great honor and privilege. It's the first time I've returned to South Korea after starting Sygnum with my co-founders. So and you guys are a big market for digital assets, in particular crypto assets, the world over. So it's really a unique privilege to be able to address. I heard in Korean, Yuki mentioned the word confidential there. I didn't mean to scare you guys. I think sometimes we take our obligations as a Swiss bank a little seriously. But rest assured the presentation will be made available to everyone who needs it. So, I'm Gerald. I'm the co-founder and chief strategy officer of Sygnum. Sygnum, to provide context to you, is a digital asset specialist. Sorry, this is a very good picture of me. We received our Swiss banking and securities dealer license on the 30th of August this year. And with that, coming into full legal force, we became the world's first digital asset bank. Now, in plain terms, what does that mean, and what is the difference before and after the license was granted? We really have an opportunity now with the banking license in hand to provide a full suite of traditional banking products and services to the digital asset ecosystem. And I'll go into a little bit more detail about what services we are providing later on. More recently, on the 31st of October, so a few weeks back, which many of you will associate with the 11th anniversary of the publication of the Bitcoin white paper. For us, it holds additional significance. That was the day that Sygnum was conferred the Capital Market Services License by the Monetary Authority of Singapore. And on the 1st of November, we actually went to market with our first fully regulated asset management product focused on digital asset strategies, which for us also includes crypto assets. So now, with the Swiss Banking and Securities Dealer License, as well as the Singaporean Capital Market Services License established and awarded, we are the first regulated financial institution to be licensed in both Switzerland and Singapore, two of the world's leading financial hubs. And from there, we will address two of the world's most significant economic regions, Asia and Europe. Now, just returning back a little bit to this conference in particular, and this wonderful day of activities. When the SACA team asked us to participate, I think we at Sygnum were very enthusiastic to be able to support this important initiative. In many ways, the mission of SACA to bring Switzerland and I think to a greater extent Europe closer together to Asia, that's very much part of the fundamental and foundational DNA of Sygnum as well. When my co-founders and I decided to come together, we from day one established ourselves in Switzerland and in Singapore, and it was very much our goal to be able to serve as a bridge between these two key regions. So the focus of my discussion today will really be to explain why we think it's important to be in two markets, in two countries, in two markets, but also how. Right? It's one thing to have that ambition to have that close cross-border dual jurisdiction collaboration. It's another challenge in real time to be able to pull it off. And I think at least to date, we have shown that we've been able to successfully execute on that ambitious strategy. Now, before I go into specifically the dual country setup that Sygnum is employing, I think it's worthwhile to step back and answer a bigger why, right? Why did we form Sygnum in the first place, and what problem statements were we trying to address? For us, myself and my three other co-founders, we have pretty different and diverse professional and personal backgrounds, both straddling the financial industries, but also the regulatory sphere. But I think we are brought together by a common and deep-set belief in the disruptive invention that is the blockchain. And I think as importantly, or more importantly than all that, we have a shared sense of purpose in being able to harness the potential of the blockchain to transform our economic systems, to make them fairer and more inclusive. With this shared belief, we in 2017 looked at the state of the development of the blockchain industry, but specifically on the monetization side, digital assets and more specifically crypto assets. And our recognition is that if we wanted to really see the innovation take off, if we really wanted to see a transition from just a mainstream awareness of this emerging and important asset class to full mainstream adoption, in particular adoption by long-term capital allocators, by institutional investors. There were a lot of critical components, parts of the value chain that were absolutely necessary, that were missing. If I were to point out, in our view, what the three most critical components that were lacking were, I would describe them as such. At an overarching level, there was the lack of regulatory clarity. It's a mishmash, it's a sort of patchwork of regulatory undertakings to define what it means to operate in the space, what are the rules of the game. And every regulator, every jurisdiction was doing it a little differently. We are now 2 years on, it's a lot more clarity thanks to regulators in important jurisdictions like the ones that we are operating in, but elsewhere as well. And then some markets are still further behind. On the extreme right, the other problem that comes to mind still when we speak to institutions about opening up their portfolios to export, to allocate to digital assets, the lack of institutional grade custody solutions continues to be a ever-present concern. Finally, and I think very importantly, limited access to banking services. We live in the reality of the world we live in is that the sum total of the digital asset markets is less than 250 billion US, give or take, and pales in comparison, right? It's a fraction of a fraction of the multi-trillion-dollar in the industry that represents everything else, all the other traditional assets and securities. If we want to fund digital asset initiatives, if we want to gain exposure to digital assets as an asset class, values still need to move from the traditional world, from the fiat world, to the digital asset world. And the institution in which those fiat rails and the digital asset rails converge, in many cases, right, predominantly is that of a bank. And so, with that in mind, Sygnum set ourselves up to obtain that banking license, provide clarity, to provide a clear gateway between these two worlds. And I bring all these problem statements together. I think what it showed then and continues to, I think, is a work in progress. Is a deficiency of trust. And deficiency of trust in digital assets, but also the lack of participation by trusted institutions, strategics, sovereigns, and banking institutions, to be honest. And that continues to be a problem that Sygnum ourselves, in conjunction, in partnership, close alignment with many others in this room, are trying to solve. In a word, in a sentence, Sygnum seeks to empower institutional and private qualified investors, corporates, banks, and other financial institutions to invest in the digital asset economy with complete trust. That's our mission statement. Now, I've gone on speaking about the mindset, the thinking, the philosophy behind Sygnum. Let me show you, just in a quick and high-level way, our suite of products and services offered out of Switzerland, supported by Sygnum in Singapore. So there are really 6 business units that we organize the company around. Custody, I think that's a familiar one. We mentioned many times the importance of institutional grade custody, and there we have co-developed in a joint venture a military grade, institutional grade custody solution with Swisscom, which is, has a distinction of both being the largest telco in Switzerland, but also the largest financial market infrastructure provider. And there we have been developing the solution now for over 2 years. And Sygnum Bank AG will be the first client of our custody solution, which we will then offer to our clients to be able to hold and custodize securely their digital assets. In the first instance, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Ripple. Soon, other protocol tokens as well, and digital assets. Brokerage, I think this is a little self-explanatory. It's buying and selling of digital assets against fiat currencies. Tokenization will continue. It's a big theme. I think it's one area of significant interest and avails a lot of opportunities in Europe and Asia and elsewhere. Tokenization, there we have a proprietary tokenization stack to allow Swiss companies, Swiss entities to tokenize their capital structure, debt, equity, and real estate instruments as well. Asset management, that's the piece that we're offering both in Switzerland and Singapore. And asset management is asset investment strategies that are focused on digital assets and underlying. Credit. So credit and lending is a core function of a bank, and there we are able to provide Lombard loans using select crypto assets, digital assets as collateral. And finally, and I think importantly, we are able to offer all these range of products and services on a white label basis to other banks and regulated financial institutions in Switzerland and elsewhere. Another view of the client types that we are servicing, and we've actually started to onboard our clients in September this year. So if I were to look at it, I like this particular graphic because it shows at the very core what we consider to be classical banking services. So the provision of both fiat and digital asset accounts, and the custody of digital assets, including cryptos, credit and lending, as I mentioned earlier. And then on the basis of this strong core, which again only a bank can provide, we then build on that additional value-added services, investment-related services, and then value-added services like tokenization, like corporate finance, advisory, and white label banking solutions. Now, why Switzerland and Singapore? And I mentioned that that's really the focus of my discussion today. I think for us, it's important to recognize that the Swiss market is still the dominant offshore wealth center in the world, and continues to be growing, right? Which is the evidence of how solid and how strong the Swiss banking and financial system is. So, Switzerland offshore wealth that they managed in the country in 2018 was 2.3 trillion, which is about a third of the total market. I think this is significant, but it's also important to know that the Asian markets are hot on the heels. So the second and third largest markets in this space, Hong Kong and Singapore respectively, combined they are about 90% of the size of the Swiss market. And I think perhaps more interestingly, these two geographies are growing at double digit on a year-on-year basis, and projected to then surpass Switzerland in the next 5 to 10 years. What's driving this trend? It's really a secular trend. Asian clients, Asian high-net-worth individuals and institutional investors want to be serviced locally by local representatives. And that is the strong sense that the markets are getting, and it's also consistent with what we are seeing. So whilst it's important that we are building out of a strong foundation in Switzerland, the banking offering, it is very much our view that that license regime also needs to get extended to Switzerland, Singapore, and other markets that we operate. Now, I think we definitely have a view on the growth of digital assets as an asset class, but we have to be realistic and serve the market where it stands today. And the market today for digital assets is almost entirely crypto assets. And so it is important for us, and an important part of our business offering, to be able to service the crypto asset investors. And there you'll see that Asia Pacific, excluding Japan, thanks to many folks in the room, thanks to many of your countrymen in Korea as well, shows one of the highest levels of interest in cryptocurrencies globally. Really just behind that of Latin America. So we believe that offering regulated financial services, banking services for crypto assets in Asia will be a huge opportunity for early movers. Now, the starting point is crypto, but really the long-term potential and the crown jewel, the big prize, that's the tokenization of everything else of value. And there, similarly, the Asian market situation is an attractive one that every player needs to consider. On the supply side in Asia, the markets here still lack in terms of depth and sophistication versus Europe and the US. And security tokens could be our moment, the moment to bypass traditional capital raising using traditional instruments with this new asset class. On the demand side, financing from investors still presents challenges for many issuers of these assets. And just using infrastructure as an example, because we talked a lot about bankable versus non-bankable. Asia is projected to account for almost 2/3 of all future investment needs in infrastructure, but the majority of these infrastructure investments are considered to be non-bankable and therefore will require alternative forms of financing. Just want to zoom in specifically to Singapore for a moment, because we tend to think about the Asian opportunity as one that exists in the emerging and developing parts of our region. That's not the truth. Even in Singapore, an area where, a developed market by any measure, where SMEs make up 99% of all companies and employ 70% of the workforce, account for more than half of GDP, even there, only 30% of SMEs are able to secure bank loans for growth financing, and less than 1% are able to tap the public markets and capital markets to grow. So ignoring the largest enterprises, ignoring the really small micro enterprises at the bottom of the pyramid, the sweet spot of almost 40,000 companies with at least 1 million of enterprise value presents an interesting opportunity that the ones of us that are looking at tokenization should consider. And I would say the regulator, the MES, is coming up with a robust framework by which assets can be tokenized and listed. So I talked about the market opportunity, and I don't think anyone in this room would disagree with me with regards to the importance of Asia for any firm addressing digital assets. But I think the secret sauce is really how do we bring the two economies closer together, and how are firms that are trying to execute on this strategy, going to be able to do that successfully. And I think here we believe humbly that we have some lessons and observations to share. I think importantly, it starts with the team. And I showed here on the first page the senior leadership of Sygnum, and the important thing to note is that half of them are sitting with me in Singapore. Starting from the co-founders, where of the four of us, we decided to send two to work out of Zurich, and two to establish ourselves in Singapore, and then layering on that the early core team, and now the 70 plus team members in two offices that we share. We have been building a team with both the Swiss and Singaporean identities equally respected from the start. We have then layered on additional team members representing 20 plus first languages, over 18 different nationalities that are Sygnum now. Another way, this is another tip and trick for folks looking to really align your team members and have folks that are sitting in different offices across the world go in the same direction, is to align them as investors, as shareholders. And so, obviously, we do give equity remuneration. I think it's the really unique currency of a startup. But in addition, we afforded our team members the ability to invest across all our fundraising rounds on the same terms as our external investors. And we are very privileged that over 85% of our team members took us up on that. So we have an extensive shareholder base, and we're just glad that with the advent of tokenization, we'll be able to manage the efficiencies of administration and corporate actions more easily than if we had to issue paper. Now, starting with the team, we've also then layered on, in terms of governance, our board of directors, and there, with the exception of Luca, my co-founder, everyone else is an independent director of Sygnum, and straddles the range, of traditional banking and finance, technology, but also on the regulation side. And we were very privileged last year to have Chua Kim Ling join us as a Singaporean director. Kim Ling stepped down, retired from the MES after 25 years of service. He was a member of the executive committee. I think more importantly, he was our head banking regulator and also regulator of all financial institutions in Singapore. He's actually very familiar with FINMA, our Swiss regulator, because he's the gentleman that led MES's investigation into BIS and Falcon Bank and shut those two banks down for AML breaches. So we are able to leverage on his expertise to adapt our AML innovation at the token level for the Singaporean regulatory environment. More recently, Dr. Peter Woodley, formerly the group CEO of UBS, also joined us as an independent director in the middle of this year. Finally, I think we're always on the lookout, broadening our network, broadening and extending our reach. And the way we have chosen to do that is to leverage a senior and distinguished group of advisors. You will see that they range across both Singapore and Switzerland, and include Mr. Philip Hildebrand, the former president of the Swiss National Bank and now vice chairman of BlackRock, but also Mr. Ang Kok Hua, Mr. Sian Hua, and Dr. David Peng, who are board of directors at the GIC, Singapore's sovereign wealth fund. It's important to have the industry view. It's important to have the industry backing by these senior individuals. It's also important to stay connected to the DLT blockchain space, and the names on the bottom left of the screen are familiar ones for those of us who have been in this industry for a while. So Bill from Abra, also Alex Lipton from MIT Digital Labs, and then in Asia, Loy Lu and David Lee. Finally, we couldn't have done what we do without the help of our trusted partners, and there we count as investors, advisors, and all-round supporters, Swisscom, Metropolis Group, Tata, and the Singtel. Now, it's early days, and Sygnum has really started to operate only in the last few months, and we are still getting a handful of things. But I will say that the early market data has proven out our dual country approach. So since we've gone out and gone live with our press releases, as well as operationalizing the bank at the end of August, we have built a pipeline that has surprised us on the upside with just the amount of interest that we're seeing from private qualified individuals, so high net worth individuals, but also institutions and corporates. Our pipeline now extends in the thousands. I think it's reaching the last count, those 2,000. And the surprising thing is that while our marketing and our distribution efforts has been focused on Switzerland, more than 30% of our qualified client pipeline has come from Asian markets. And I think I would just encourage everyone in the space to recognize that there's a lot of demand, there's a lot of interest, from all parts of the world, in particular Asia, with regards to the solutions and services that the ones of us in Switzerland are offering. And so with that, I'm fine? Okay. Well, I'll just open up to any questions, especially the ones that I planted in advance, but I'm open to hearing any questions from members of the audience.
Only one. Actually, we don't take questions because we have time constraints.
So, thank Gerald for a really interesting presentation. And I will touch upon something that you mentioned that you were very successful achieving, and that's having that dual hub, both in Switzerland and in Singapore, and achieving the regulatory goals. But thinking a bit about in the future, where we view the blockchain as a global digital asset platform, do you see a future where those digital assets will be treated differently, regulatory, across the globe? Will we have digital borders on the blockchain, or it will be one unified global platform, and somehow we will agree how to treat this new asset class?
Thanks, Anton. Firstly, I thought it was meant to be an easy question, but so I think the question is whether or not a global, digitally native asset class can respect such things like national sovereignty and physical borders. It's an important one. We don't have the answers, obviously, to the question, but I think it's important to engage the regulators in every jurisdiction that we want to operate or we choose to operate, and educate them about what we're doing elsewhere in the world, and also what the sort of global standards that are going to be formulated are. In particular for us, as global standard setting bodies like the FATF, like the EIS, they have a role to play, and thanks to our supporters, both the names on the page, but also a number of our early investors, we have been able to have these kind of conversations, important conversations, to shape the regulatory understanding and also the direction of the regulations. I think ultimately, we believe that the momentum that we have achieved in Switzerland and Singapore is now reached a point where it's unstoppable, and we believe that small countries have the flexibility, the agility to develop regulations more quickly, promulgate them, and then get them accepted by the larger global standard setting bodies, to the betterment of everyone in the space.